I found something that shouldn't exist. Last week, sorting through my late aunt's belongings, I discovered a hidden box behind a false wall in the attic. Inside, 7 handwritten journals. The name on the cover? Kathryn Kuhlman. And what I read in those pages changed everything I thought about money, debt, and the real power of the written word. Have you ever felt suffocated by bills? That feeling that no matter how hard you work, money just disappears. Kathryn knew that feeling better than anyone. In the first journal, dated 1987, she writes, "I owe $17,000. I don't even have $17 in my account. My children ask why the refrigerator is empty. I don't know what to say anymore." But here's what sent chills down my spine. In the final journal just 3 years later, a note in capital letters. All debts paid. House paid off. Savings account started. What happened in those 3 years? She discovered something. A method so specific, so precise, that it always worked. And she tested it dozens of times. I'm going to tell you exactly what I found. But I need to warn you first. This isn't about positive thinking. It's not about visualization. It's about something much older, much more powerful. Kathryn wasn't your average religious person. She was a mathematician. She worked with numbers all day. She only believed in what she could prove, until the day she lost her job. In the second journal, she writes, "I'm 42 years old, 3 young children. The bank is foreclosing in 30 days. I've applied for jobs in 27 places. Nothing." That's when her elderly neighbor, Mrs. Eleanor, handed her an aged parchment. "My grandmother taught me this in 1943, Mrs. Eleanor said. "It's worked for generations in my family, but there are rules that cannot be broken." The parchment contained a psalm, but it wasn't just for reading. It was a specific method, with exact times, with words that had to be repeated in a very particular way. Desperate, Kathryn decided to test it. In the third journal, she documents everything, every hour, every repetition, every result. And the results? They started in exactly 72 hours. First, it was an unexpected call, a job she didn't even know existed, a salary 50% higher than her previous one. Then, a letter from the bank, an error in the debt calculation, $5,000 less than they thought. 3 days later, a 2-year-old traffic ticket was canceled, $400 returned. Coincidences? Kathryn thought so too, until she started documenting a pattern. She writes, "Every time I follow the method exactly as Eleanor taught me, something happens in 72 hours. Not 70, not 75, exactly 72 hours. The method has 6 specific steps. The first step always happens at 5:30 a.m. Why? Kathryn discovered that this time has a specific energy, before the world awakens, when the mind is most receptive. The second step involves a specific psalm. I can't tell you which one yet. I need to prepare you first. The third step? A physical action. Something you must do with your own hands. Kathryn tested this method 17 times in 3 years. 17 times it worked. She paid off all her debts, bought a house, created an emergency fund. But here's what impressed me the most. In the last journal, she writes, "I discovered something terrible and wonderful. This doesn't just work for money. It works for anything you need to break, any chain that needs to be shattered." And then, a phrase that gave me chills. "Whoever finds these journals, know that you carry a responsibility. This knowledge cannot be used in just any way. There are rules. There are consequences." What consequences? Well, I only discovered that when I tested the method myself. I owed $12,000 on my credit card. My apartment rent was 3 months overdue. No idea how to solve it. I read the entire journals in one night. The next morning at 5:30 a.m., I started the first step. I'll be honest with you. In the first 2 days, nothing happened. I started to think it was all the fantasy of a desperate woman. But on the third day, 72 hours after I started, my phone rang. It was a client I had lost 6 months ago. He wanted to hire my services again. The amount? Exactly $12,000. Coincidence? Maybe. Until I looked closer at Kathryn's journals. On page 43 of the 5th notebook, she documents something frightening. The method works because it breaks an energetic pattern, as if there were an invisible lock preventing money from reaching you. The psalm, recited correctly, releases that lock. She drew a diagram. It shows how the energy of money flows naturally until it encounters blocks in our lives. Debts are more than numbers in an account. They are energetic chains, and these chains can be broken. But there's a price, Kathryn writes. Every time I use the method, I need to give something in return. Not money, something deeper. What? In the 6th journal, she explains, the universe doesn't give anything for free. If you break a chain of debt, you need to strengthen a chain of gratitude. That's why the method has 6 steps, not just one. The 4th step is about specific gratitude, not generic gratitude. Gratitude for something that hasn't happened yet, but that you already feel is real. The 5th step, action in the physical world. You need to do something concrete to show that you are ready to receive. And the 6th step? Well, that's the hardest of all. It took Kathryn 2 years to fully understand this step. When she did, her life changed forever. She writes, the 6th step isn't about receiving, it's about becoming someone worthy of receiving. What does that mean? In the 7th journal, the last one, she tells a story that made me rethink everything. I used the method to pay off a $3,000 debt. It worked perfectly in 72 hours. But a week later, I spent $4,000 on unnecessary things. Why? Because I was still the same person who had created the original debt. That's when she understood. The method doesn't just break debts. It transforms who you are. Each of the 6 steps works on a different part of your financial personality. The 1st step breaks fear. The 2nd step breaks hopelessness. The 3rd step breaks passivity. The 4th step breaks ingratitude. The 5th step breaks inertia. And the 6th step breaks the version of you that created the debts. When I tested this myself, I understood why Kathryn considered it terrible and wonderful. It's terrifying because you have to confront truths about yourself you'd rather ignore. It's wonderful because on the other side, you become incapable of creating debt again. But I'll tell you something. Kathryn didn't fully document. There's a secret pattern behind the method, a pattern she only began to uncover at the very end. The psalm she used isn't just any psalm. It's a specific psalm that resonates with the vibrational frequency of money. Sound too esoteric? Kathryn thought so too, until she discovered that numbers have frequencies, and frequencies can be harmonized. In the last journal, she writes, I discovered that money has a specific frequency, 528 hertz, the frequency of abundance. The psalm, when recited correctly, tunes our energy field to this frequency. She was beginning to understand the science behind the method, but she never finished that research. She died in a car accident 3 months after writing that note. That's why the journals were hidden. She knew this knowledge was too powerful to be exposed. And now I'm here, sharing it with you. Why? Because I tested the method 5 times in the last 6 months. 5 times it worked exactly as Kathryn documented. I paid off all my debts. I created an emergency fund. I changed my life. But more importantly, I changed who I am. I'm no longer the person who created debt on impulse. I'm no longer someone who lives in fear of not having enough. The method didn't just bring money. It brought a new version of me. And it's that new version speaking to you now. So here's my promise. I'm going to teach you the complete method, the 6 exact steps, the specific times, the words that must be spoken. But first, you need to understand something. This isn't magic. It's spiritual technology. And like all technology, it has instructions. Instructions that cannot be ignored. Kathryn tested what happens when you break the rules. She documented everything in the 4th journal. I tried to do the method any which way, just to test it. I used different times. I skipped steps. I changed the words. The result? Not only did it not work, it worsened my situation, as if the universe was punishing me for disrespecting something sacred. That's why she was so specific about this every detail. That's why I'm going to be specific with you. In the next pages of the journals, Kathryn documents exactly how to do each step, the exact time, the exact words, the precise sequence. She discovered that tiny variations in the method produce completely different results. Changing one word for a synonym doesn't work. Doing it at a different time doesn't work. Skipping one of the steps doesn't work. But when you follow exactly as she teaches, 72 hours, always 72 hours. And do you want to know the most incredible thing? Kathryn discovered that the method works even if you don't believe in it. She writes, "At first I didn't believe. I did it out of desperation, not faith. Even so, it worked. Why? Because the method doesn't depend on your belief. It depends on your precise action. So, even if you're skeptical now, that's okay. The method will work if you follow the exact instructions. But here's what you need to decide first. Are you really ready for a life without debt? It seems like an obvious question, but it's not. Kathryn discovered that some people unconsciously sabotage their own prosperity. They say they want to get out of debt, but deep down they're afraid of what life would be like without the financial excuse. In the 5th journal, she writes, "I realized I was using debt as an excuse to not pursue my real dreams. Without debt, I would have no more excuses. And you, is your debt really the problem? Or is it the excuse? Because if it's just an excuse, the method won't work. Not because it doesn't work, but because you will, unconsciously, sabotage it." Kathryn documented 3 such cases. People she taught the method to, who followed perfectly, who saw results in the first 72 hours, and then found a way to go back into debt. Why? Because they weren't ready to be who they needed to be on the other side of debt. Who do you become? That's the question the method will force you to answer. And maybe that's why the journals were hidden. Not just because the knowledge is powerful, but because it forces you to confront who you really are. And not everyone is ready for that. Are you? Because if the answer is yes, I'll tell you now the 6 exact steps that Kathryn documented. But first, I need to tell you about something that happened to me yesterday. I was reviewing the journals for the 10th time when my sister called me, crying. "I lost my job," she said. "I owe $8,000 on my credit card. I don't know what to do." I told her about the journals, about Kathryn, about the method. She laughed, said I was going crazy. 3 hours later, she called me back. "Teach me." Why the sudden change? She had just received a bill, threat of protest, bad credit for 5 years. Desperation changes our perspective quickly. I taught her the method, step by step, exactly as Kathryn documented. Want to know what happened? 72 hours later, she got a new job. Salary 30% higher. But here's the detail that gave me goosebumps. She started the method on a Tuesday at 5:30 in the morning. The call with the job offer came on Friday at 5:30 in the afternoon. 72 hours exact, just as Kathryn always documented. Coincidence? Impossible to ignore the pattern. So now I'm going to reveal everything. Step 1. Mental preparation. 5:30 a.m. Kathryn discovered that this time is crucial. Why? Between 5 and 6 in the morning, the veil between the material and spiritual world is thinner. She writes, "It's not mysticism, it's neuroscience. At this time, your brain waves are in the alpha frequency, more receptive, less resistant. What you do: wake up at 5:20, go to a place where you won't be interrupted, sit in silence for 5 minutes, just breathe, then say aloud, "I am stronger than any debt. My prosperity is greater than any lack." 3 times. Always 3 times. Why 3? Kathryn tested other numbers. 1 didn't work. 2 was weak. 3 created a specific resonance. But pay attention. You need to feel the words, not just say them. Kathryn writes, "If you just recite without feeling, it's like dialing a faulty phone number. The connection, incomplete." Step 2, the Psalm of Breakthrough, 5:30 a.m. Here's the psalm that changed everything for Kathryn Kuhlman. Psalm 23. But not the way you know it. Kathryn discovered a specific version, a translation that resonates differently. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He makes me lie down in green pastures. He leads me beside still waters. He restores my soul." Stop. You read too fast. Kathryn discovered that each word must be pronounced with a specific pause. "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want." A 2-second pause between each comma. Why? Each pause allows the word to become fixed in the subconscious. It's like planting seeds. If you throw them all at once, none grow properly. But there's more. After reciting the complete psalm with the pauses, you say a specific prayer. "Break every financial chain that binds me. Break all the blocks to my prosperity. May money flow to me as naturally as water flows to the sea." And then you do something physical. Step 3, the physical action, 5:45 a.m. Kathryn discovered that the method doesn't work only in the mind. You need to involve the body. What to do? Gather all your bills, invoices, debt statements. Place them in a pile in front of you. Now, with both hands, lift the pile and say, "I acknowledge these debts, but I am not a slave to them. They do not define who I am." Then place the pile back on the table. But here's the secret Kathryn took months to discover. You cannot be angry when you do this. "I tried this step fueled by hatred for the debts," she writes. "It didn't work. Hatred creates resistance. Acceptance creates fluidity. You need to look at your debts like a doctor looks at a wound. Seriously, but without emotional drama. Debts are just information," Kathryn discovered. Information about past decisions that you can change in the present. Step 4, specific gratitude, 6 Psalm Lamb. This step separated Kathryn from all the other people trying similar methods. She discovered that generic gratitude doesn't work. "I'm grateful for everything" is useless. You need to be specific about something that hasn't happened yet. How so? Kathryn writes, "I closed my eyes and imagined exactly what my life would be like without debt, where I would live, how I would feel, what I would do with the money I wouldn't need to use for payments anymore." Then she said aloud, "I am grateful for specific situation that hasn't happened yet." Example from her journal, "I am grateful for being able to sleep peacefully, without financial anxiety. I am grateful to see my children happy because I no longer feel the pressure of money. I am grateful to be able to help my elderly neighbor, Mrs. Eleanor, as she helped me." The key is detail. The more specific, the more real it seems to the subconscious. And when something seems real to the subconscious, it begins to work to make it true. But be careful. Kathryn tested gratitude for specific material things. "I am grateful for the new house, for the new car." It didn't work. Why? The universe doesn't respond to requests for things. It responds to requests for states of being. The difference? "I am grateful for the new car" thing. "I am grateful for the freedom to go where I want without financial worry." State of being. States of being can manifest in 1,000 different ways. Specific things limit the possibilities. Step 5, the test of faith during the day. This is perhaps the hardest step. Kathryn discovered that you need to act as if the result is already real. Not irresponsibly, confidently. The day I started the method, I went to the bank, she writes. Not to ask for a loan, to open a savings account. The manager laughed at her. Ma'am, you owe $17,000. Why do you want to open a savings account? Because soon I'll need a place to keep my extra money. She deposited $1, a single dollar. But that dollar represented her faith that change was coming. Small actions with great faith move mountains, she notes. Large actions with little faith don't move even pebbles. What should your act of faith be? Kathryn lists several possibilities. Organize a space in your home for the extra money that will arrive. Research investments you will make when you pay off your debts. Make a list of people you will help when you are prosperous. Buy a notebook to write down your future financial goals. The important thing is not the value of the action. It's the intention behind it. Each act of faith is a vote of confidence in the universe, Kathryn writes. And the universe always honors genuine trust. Step 6. Identity transformation. A night. This is the step that few complete. It took Kathryn 2 years to fully understand. I realized that it wasn't enough to break the debts. I needed to break the person who created the debts. How? Every night before going to sleep, she asked a specific question. What attitude of mine created this debt? And then, what attitude do I need to develop to never create debts again? In her journal, she documented her discoveries. Credit card debt. Impulsiveness. I need to develop patience. Loan debt. Fear of not having enough. I need to develop confidence. Financing debt. Need to impress others. I need to develop authenticity. Each night, she chose a specific behavior to change the next day. I can't change everything at once, she writes, but I can change one thing a day. Seems simple? It's the hardest step because it forces you to confront uncomfortable truths about yourself, but it's also the most powerful. The day I took full responsibility for my financial patterns was the day I regained full power to change them. The exact 3 days. What to expect. Kathryn documented a specific pattern that always repeated itself. Day 1. Mental discomfort. You'll want to give up. It will seem silly. You'll feel like you're wasting time. It's normal. Keep going. Day 2. Small synchronicities. Small things will start to happen. Someone will talk about money with you. You'll find a coin on the ground. You'll receive an unexpected discount. Pay attention. Day 3. The manifestation. 72 hours after starting the first step. Something will happen. An opportunity. A solution. A path you didn't see before. But be warned. The manifestation isn't always what you expect, Kathryn warns. Sometimes it's better. Example from her journal. I expected to get a job to pay off my debts. What I received was an idea for my own business that gave me 3 times the money of any job. The universe sees possibilities we don't. That's why it's important not to fixate on exactly how the result will appear. Fixate on the result, not the path. But what if it doesn't work? Kathryn tested what happens when the method fails. She discovered only 3 reasons. 1. Incorrectly executed steps. If you change any detail, it's like changing an ingredient in a recipe. The result will be different. 2. Unconscious resistance. Some people sabotage the method because they're afraid of success. Success brings responsibility. 3. Misplaced expectations. The method breaks down debt. It doesn't perform miracles. If you owe $100,000, don't expect to win the lottery. Expect opportunities to pay off that $100,000. Beyond that, Kathryn documented. In 3 years of testing, the method never failed when executed correctly. Never. The secret she discovered in the end. In the last journal, Kathryn reveals something that made everything click for me. This method doesn't create money out of thin air. It removes the blockages that prevent the money that already exists from reaching you. How's that? There's enough abundance in the world for everyone. The problem isn't scarcity. It's distribution. and distribution is affected by our energetic and mental patterns. In simple words, your debts don't exist because of a lack of money in the world. They exist because of blockages in how you relate to money. The method removes those blockages. It's like unclogging a pipe. The water was always available. It just couldn't flow. My personal discovery. After using the method 7 times, I understood something that not even Kathryn had fully documented. The method doesn't just break down debt. It reconnects you with your natural capacity to prosper. Before I knew the journals, I believed that money was hard to come by, that you had to suffer to deserve prosperity, that there was virtue in lack. The method shattered those limiting beliefs. Today I understand that prosperity is as natural as breathing. We complicate what should be simple. And the debts? They are just symptoms of this unnecessary complication. When you simplify your relationship with money, debts resolve themselves naturally, not through magic, through mental clarity that leads to better decisions, through confidence that attracts opportunities, through gratitude that magnetizes abundance. It's a system that works. The responsibility of those who know. Kathryn writes on the last page, "Whoever learns this method carries a responsibility. Using it only for oneself is to waste the gift." That's why I'm sharing this with you. Not to make money teaching, but because I understood that spiritual knowledge only grows when it's shared. And also because, well, there's a personal reason. My aunt, the one who died and left the journals hidden, was in debt when she passed away. Not much, but enough for me to feel guilty. If I had found the journals earlier, I thought, I could have helped her. So I promised myself, I will help as many people as I can. It's my way of honoring her memory and of honoring Kathryn's legacy. Your decision now. You have 3 options. First, ignore all this and continue dealing with debt in the traditional way. Second, test the method skeptically, just to prove it doesn't work. Third, apply the method with the precision it deserves. I'm not going to try to convince you of anything. Kathryn writes, "Those who are ready for change don't need persuasion. Those who aren't ready, no persuasion works. But if you choose the third option, I need to give you one last warning. Your life will change beyond finances. When you break the chain of debt, you discover it was the smallest of the chains that bound you. There are chains of fear, chains of doubt, chains of self-sabotage. The method breaks them all. And on the other side, you discover who you really are. Someone naturally prosperous, someone naturally abundant, someone naturally free. Debt was never about money. It was about identity. And identity can be rewritten in exactly 72 hours. As Kathryn proved, as I proved, as you can prove. If you're ready, the journals are here open before you. The method is revealed. The instructions are clear. Now it's up to you. 72 hours. Your new life can begin tomorrow morning at 5:30 sharp. The only question that remains is, will you show up?